While the World Championship is happening in Singapore, the India number 1 Arjun Erigaisi is fighting in Doha, Qatar at the Qatar Masters Open 2024. Why is Arjun playing over there? Well, apart from this being a very strong open tournament, Arjun needs to win it in order to get his spot in the candidates. If he wins this tournament, he will be at the top of the FIDE circuit leaderboard with only the World Rapid and Blitz left. But currently Arjun is half a point behind the leaders. He's come a bit late to the game. You can see he's already lost a couple of minutes on the clock. Maybe some influence of Magnus Carlsen setting in there. And let's see how he plays this. He opens the game with knight to f3. And then he adjusts all his pieces before he would press the clock. And his opponent is David Paravyan, a very strong player from Russia, opens with d5. And Arjun goes c4 in the style of Gukesh. Well, are we going to see the repeat of game 11? Oh, d4 played here just like ding. This is exciting. Now, what is Arjun going to do? Will he go b4? Like how? Oh, he plays it. Amazing. Amazing. And c5 was played by Ding Liren. Also played by David. e3 was Gukesh's choice here. But Arjun now deviates. He goes bishop b2. Putting pressure on the central pawn. Knight comes out to f6. And it's clear that if you try to win the pawn, the knight will come here on c6. And then e5 is coming in. So he goes g3, trying to put the bishop on the long diagonal. And now black pushes the pawn to h5. This is already a new move in the position, and it was played after quite some thought. Queen a4 check here by Arjun, provoking bishop d7. I wonder if that was something that Arjun wanted very deeply. b5 now he plays. And David Paravyan is going in for the attack. He plays h4. And Arjun says, well, thank you, David. I'll take the pawn. What's your compensation here? Generally, you give up the pawn and move the knight away so that you can control the center. And that's exactly what he has done. He pushes his pawn to e5. And Arjun plays the move d3. e4. David is going very direct here. Bishop g2 is the best move in the position, but Arjun takes the pawn, which is a slight error. Now David has to take rook takes h4, a tough move to sacrifice an exchange. But the point is, after knight takes e4, you have queen takes h4. You're attacking here. It gets very nasty. Whoa, he takes it. Rook takes h4 is on the board. And Arjun Erigaisi could well be in trouble. You can see Andrei Sipenko there watching the game and was very surprised with what David has done. G takes h4 by Arjun. And now knight takes e4 played. He wants to take on h4 and attack the pawn on f2. And Arjun plays his bishop to g2, keeping an eye on the knight. What else to do? Now queen takes h4 is coming in. The good news for black is that although he's exchanged down, he'll get back the pawn. The other point being that the bishop on b2 is not very active. So David now, he's ready to capture the pawn. Queen takes h4 is on the board. The f2 point is very soft. You can take the knight, but after queen e4, that's a very strong queen there. So Arjun says, I'll defend it with the rook. And now an important move is bishop f5, because from here the bishop is well positioned. But instead he goes f5. And this is maybe not the most accurate way to play, but then again the position is so wild. You cannot really hope for accuracy here from human beings. So after f5 solidifying the knight in the center, Arjun Erigaisi now has 1 hour 3 minutes on the clock. Opponent has 26 minutes. Arjun thinks for good 20 minutes and plays his queen back to c2. And he's keeping an eye on the knight on e4, pawn to a6. Because if you played queen h2, then bishop e4 is just winning. So a6 played here. Arjun defends the structure with a4. He takes. And now you can take back when the rooks will get traded. Maybe that's to black's favor. So Arjun takes c takes b5. And later on, he can put his knight on the c4 square. Also, the c5 pawn is under some pressure. So bishop e6 played. And Arjun quickly gets his knight to d2. The game is just heating up. We are on move number 17 and both the players already under quite a lot of time trouble. Bishop d5 played here. And now the best move for white is e3, which is kind of very difficult to play because after d takes e3, you have knight e4 and somehow this position is doing very well. But instead, Arjun goes a5 and g6 played here by David. Maybe bishop can come out via h6. It seems that's one of the plans. Let's see what Arjun is now aiming for. e3 was good previously, maybe now not that strong. He goes rook a3, and that is a classy move. The rook now wants to swing over here and attack the queen, and that is really cool activation here by Arjun. He's not castled his king is in the center, but he's developed all his other pieces. Now knight d7 is the best move here, and that is an important move that David should play. Knight d7, maybe if the rook goes to h3, queen e7. Black keeps control in the center and has excellent compensation, but David gets tempted. He plays c4 attacking the rook, but this now weakens the structure, and in fact the bishop is angling to take the pawn. One wonders what is David thought here, because rook h3 attacks the queen. There's no time for c3. And look at Arjun there. So rook h3, when the queen moves, you can then later on pick up the pawn on d4. Although there must be something here that is being missed. He plays rook h3. Now imagine if you go queen f6, I simply take and take on e4. So the queen cannot really go back somewhere. So queen g4 makes a lot of sense. Keeps an eye on the rook, keeps an eye on the bishop, also keeps an eye on the knight. Arjun takes on e4. And of course queen takes g2 would not work now because of check, king f7, and a very important check here with the rook, king f6, with a really huge attack which white is winning. So that's the reason why David Paravyan cannot take this bishop. He's calculating hard. He's down to 4 minutes and he takes fe4 reluctantly. It's not a move you make happily for sure. And now Arjun goes rook g3, defending his bishop, also attacking the pawn. It's all coming in with a tempo. So bishop b4 check now by David. There's also this curious move bishop c3, but Arjun very quickly moves his king to d1, which is the best move in the position. And now there's no way to defend the pawn on d4. Look at this, the queen is hanging. So he needs to move back. He does come back queen e6, but now bishop d4. You just take it. But look at the position carefully now. You will see that after rook takes a5, black has two bishops, a rook, and a queen all ready to attack. The king is weak in the center, so the position is very tough. Bishop c3 played here by Arjun, and he's just trying to simplify because he's materially up ahead, and if he manages to simplify things, it is to his advantage. So bishop c3, a good move here by Arjun Erigaisi, and he plays queen to d6. Looking at the king here, also looking at the bishop. Important moment now. What is Arjun going to play? Maybe take the bishop. Queen takes. He goes directly king c1. Point being that if bishop a3, bishop b2. Look at the rook here defending. So rook takes b5 played. It's amazing how both players have managed to keep their kings in the center. One would get super nervous if such a position arises, but not Arjun and David. They both are tremendously brave players. Queen takes b4. David is down to 47 seconds while Arjun still has 10 minutes on the clock, and once again a bold move. Again, look at how the rook controls the a3 square, so there's no check in the position. He goes c3 and he's opening his queen to attack the bishop. Arjun says, I'm going to simply chop off the pawn. So now it's a mutual attack. There's an attack with queen a3 coming in with the rook entering, and there's an attack on the black king. Which one is faster? King e7. So there's no check with the white king because the king is here. There's no way to check, but maybe you can check with the rook on e3. No, he just simply chops off the pawn, and he's like, tell me, David, what did you have in mind here? And well, David Paravyan, who has to play literally on a single minute on the clock, develops his last piece and says, now I have 4 attackers. This is actually very, very risky position for Arjun. He has some time on the clock, but he goes queen d2. I love his nerves. He's threatening rook e3 check, trading the queens. Once the queens are traded, white is completely winning because white is not only an exchange up but also 2 pawns up. So queen a4 played. And now can Arjun enter the position with his queen? Queen g5 check. He's taking his time here and plays queen e3 check. Not the best move. Bishop e6 might be the best defensive idea here when it's not so easy to checkmate the black king. But how can David find all the resources in just few seconds on the clock? He's already down to last 9, 8, 7. He goes king f6, and this is a big error. Also, notice how this bishop is actually used in the defense. It's a great piece. And now Arjun has to figure out, you're not able to checkmate him. For example, there's no checks here, in fact. So how should you continue is the big question. Maybe queen h6, so that if a check comes in, you can move your bishop back and give a counter check. He comes back bishop c2, and Arjun plays these moves so quickly, keeping 6 minutes on the clock. Check. And Arjun has actually sacrificed an entire rook. David says, I take it. Now Arjun, prove whether you can checkmate me. That is the big question. Can Arjun checkmate David Paravyan's king? He goes for a check. Now, of course, if you go on the far side, then the rook will swing over and it's just a staircase mate. So you have to come towards the center. King e7 has... Oh, he touches, but he doesn't play king e7. He was going to play king e7 there. But I think David says, oh, I have 50 minutes on the clock, or 50 seconds on the clock. He goes king e7. Rook e3 check played. And now, let's see. For example, if you move, where can you go with your king? King d8. I have queen d6 check. And king d7. I have bishop f5 check with all 3 pieces combining. So he goes bishop e6. And now an extremely important check, which is queen to c7. Arjun instantly plays it. You can go back king e8, then I have rook takes bishop. You can go king f8. I have queen d6 followed by taking this bishop. What to do? King f6 may be the most tenacious perhaps. He goes king f6 with just 2 seconds on the clock. But now Arjun plays rook f3. He's just seen it all. He's seen the mate. He's seen everything. Bishop f5 is forced. And now... well, rook f5 trade, so you don't want to do that. Right now you're a piece down. So bishop f5 is a lovely move. The point being that if rook takes f5, there's queen d6 check and you win the rook and there are no checks and white wins. So he goes knight e5 attacking the rook. Well, he's trying for some kind of an attack, some form of huge attack that he can play, because if you move your bishop back, knight f3 comes with a counter check. So you have to be slightly careful here. But I think Arjun will work this out because the black king is just too exposed. He goes queen d8 check here. And after king f7, it's time to give another check here. Bishop e6 check. What a move. And after king e6, I think David Paravyan, as a nice gesture, allows Arjun to checkmate his king. What a game here by Arjun Erigaisi. Absolutely stunning. And as they say, it takes two to tango. And David Paravyan did play brilliant chess with h5, h4. This exciting, entertaining chess. But clearly, when it comes to wild positions, Arjun is a superior player in the world. Very few can match him when it comes to calculations, these weird positions, and it is for a reason that Magnus Carlsen called him the madman of chess. It's too difficult to match him in complex positions, and once again Arjun proves it. He's now on 5 out of 6. He's half a point still behind the leader, as Shant Sargsyan, who just passed from there, is the sole leader with 5.5 points, who beat Karthikeyan Murli, which means that Arjun will face the Armenian GM Shant in the next round, which is going to be on the top board. Arjun has now gained rating points, and let's see how he finishes the tournament.